I'm Harrison Kelly with BYU-Idaho Radio, and I'm in the Fieldhouse with Ty Shippen. He's the athletic director here at Rigby High School. And this is a really cool facility you guys have here. Thanks for being willing to interview with me.
You bet. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. This has got to be very exciting for you and for the district and for the community here in Rigby. What does it mean to have an indoor facility for Rigby High School's athletic programs, especially during like the really harsh East Idaho winters?
Right. Well, you said Eastern Idaho's got tough winters and tough springs, and sometimes in the spring we can't even get out and practice or even play contests a lot of times till April. So we have to go to the Boise Valley, and they have a huge advantage over us because of that factor. And so having it here where we could do this year round, and it's just such a blessing. And I can't thank Broulim's enough for their willingness to make this vision become a reality.
Yeah, and you talked about Broulim's and how it's because of them that this facility is here. What does it mean to the community for having a local company fund something at this length?
Well, I feel like it ties in our community. Everybody feels that, like, kind of that the support, that love, that like, hey, we're helping each other. People go to Broulim's and buy food, and Broulim's is giving back to all the kids that are being able to use this facility in the community, and it just shows the level of which we support each other. And between the high school, the middle school, and businesses in our area, it's just overwhelming. And it's just, knowing the Broulim's and how much Rigby means to them. You heard Bonnie Lou talk about the things that meant things to her because she all graduated there, her kids all graduated from here. And so it's just something special that they can, for their posterity, for their future generations, that they wanted to give back. And we're just so grateful for them, truly.
Well, and it did seem like in their speech, they have a lot of community pride.
They do.
That they were sharing, even just being able to put this thing together. Really cool for the community. So as a multi-sports facility, what will practice schedules across spring, fall, winter, all those different sports, what will that look like?
So when we have, during the season, we have our sports teams have classes, like track has 6-hour class. So they'll come in and practice. And then during the wintertime, we'll have PE classes that'll come in here every hour of the day and use it. And it'll be more than just the athletes. The PE classes will come and they'll do pickleball, they'll run the track, walk the track, we have walking classes. So it'll be multi-use there. The teams will have priority, that 6th hour and then beyond till about 6:30. And those will be our, workout practice times. Really, as you can see when you walk in here, tennis is doing their own thing, pole vault's doing their own thing, high jump, long jump, the track. And so everybody's kind of on their own island and can do their own thing without having to share, per se. And discus and shot. Really the only ones, like, you have soccer and football, potentially conflict between boys and girls soccer in the fall, and then softball and baseball. There'll be maybe one to do at the same time. But from that period of time, the school gets out until 6:30. We're gonna use practice schedules to make it fit. And if we need to go longer than that, we will. Because really, I think the community mostly is going to be using like pickleball courts. They're not going to be using the turf on a regular basis. And so doing open fields and things will be pretty easy to schedule, I think.
That's really cool. And I know we talked about, there's possibilities for football, softball, soccer in the same area, baseball. Mm-hmm. There's baseball, there's, batting cages, pickleball, tennis. There's the track and field areas. What sports specifically, what programs do you think will benefit the most out of this building?
Gosh, I think all of them, to be honest with you. I mean, we're thinking even this fall, there's lots of fires. It's fire season. There's football can come in and soccer can come in when they're practicing versus being shut down and going to the gym, because you just can't get much accomplished in the gym like you can like on a full turf you'd be able to do stuff on. So I think that's a huge piece. And not being able to have to pull out nets and stuff in the gyms for baseball and softball, I think those two spring sports will have a huge advantage. And then to be able to do pole vault and high jump, in the past our high jump has been on top of our track in our gym, trying to like avoid people and doing like quick 3-step runs and trying to get the form down, and you could just do so much more here. So I would say all of track, baseball and softball is going to be a huge advantage. And then also our soccer teams play all their games on the turf, but football practices primarily on the turf. And so time for them to prepare for their games, and the balls bounce differently turf than it does in grass. And so to be able to practice here simulate what they're actually doing in the games is a huge advantage for our soccer team as well.
Because right now they practice, you said football practices on grass right now?
No,
they practice on the turf?
They practice on the turf. Our soccer team practices on the grass.
But they'll be able to also practice on this turf as well.
That's right. So it's a quicker game. It bounces a little higher, a little quicker. So
gets them more ready for game day.
Exactly.
Right on. And how will this facility help Rigby compete at the highest level? I know you guys are 6A, and there's some really top programs in the state that also have field houses. You got, just next door, Madison County has a field house. You've got other field houses around the state. But 6A, you guys are a top contender. What does this mean to your program to have a field house like this?
Well, Boise starts right when the season starts, and even before that, right? Because they're usually the snow's gone. They're able to get out and play. I'm thinking, golf especially. They're able to do stuff. We can actually golf in our batting cages. It's small enough where we can put a simulator if we wanted to be able to hit balls off of off the turf. And so, I think starting earlier and making it more game-like, more realistic to what practices are going to be like before we can actually get on the field, that's huge. So I think it levels the playing field with the Boise Valley, because most of the 6As in our state are from Boise, and so being here in Eastern Idaho, we're at a disadvantage. And so being able to do that is huge. And we can't do a lot of stuff on our track until spring break. And we're always traveling to do it. Now we're here and starting on time.
And is this, I know there's an indoor track. There's about 3 to 4 lanes in here.
Yes.
What, is this a full-size track? So
this is the same size as ISU's field, their indoor track. It's 200 meters, so you know exactly what you're getting. So 8 laps is a mile. And there's, you get your 5 sprinting lanes on one side, and then we really wanted to have 3 full lanes that you could go all the way around and not have to worry about beams or other distractions. So it's 3 full 200 meter lanes that are regulation size, and we really wanted that for our track sprinters, runners, hurdles, all that. So that makes it nice. And one unique thing about this facility is that it doesn't go around the turf. The turf is its own separate thing. You might go to up north, and the track goes all the way around. So we wanted to keep that completely separate. So there's no sharing that part. They're on their own. They do their own thing, and they're not interrupting or distracting from anybody else. And then also being away from any beams supporting. So when they're running, they feel like they're in the open. It doesn't feel very claustrophobic in here. It's pretty open. Right. We had all these people here for the open house, and there were tons.
It still feels empty.
Right? And so that part of it is just a really nice feature of this field house.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point, because if you have a field in the middle of the track, you've got to worry about balls being thrown, and like you said, beams from the long jump and
correct. Yes.
Or the pole vault, and so there's a lot of different. And you said you also have shot put stations as well.
So we have 2 shot puts and a big disc ring as well that they can throw in, and we can even bring in the shot put and disc into batting cages really and throw as well. So there's lots of options that we have in multiple use, and that was kind of our intent as we sat down with with Headwaters and trying to figure out, okay, what's going to be the best thing that we get the most use out of for the price to be able to provide for our athletes, and our product is pretty as close as we felt like we could get to what we had. So we're pretty excited about that. And the field is really, the turf itself is only 3 yards shy on each side of a full width of a football field.
Really?
And so we put the lines in, and the markers, the hash marks, are actually the same spots as the numbers on the football field. So when football comes in and practices, they're going to be able to line up and see exactly where they would be on that field being inside. So that's what those extra hash marks are, if anybody's wondering about what that might be.
That's got to be helpful for the football coaches.
Yeah, for sure.
Program.
For sure. And then to have some retractable netting on the turf, so you can do 3 stations. And I don't know if you had a chance to walk much on the turf, but when I don't know if you want to walk that direction. But,
yeah.
When it comes down, you can do 3 different stations that are set aside. So baseball could do full infield and still have 2 stations on the outside.
Wow.
For stations. And so it's just a coach's, kind of dream to be able to put things where they need to put it, and take infield, throw, Football, I would imagine they would keep them up, but if they wanted to drop it and do defense on one side and offense on the other side,
they can break out into different teams and different groups.
Correct.
That's got to be helpful. So this will also benefit not only just the varsity teams, but also like the JV and the freshman teams, the different teams throughout the different programs.
Correct. We'll schedule all of our teams when we can. Now, football's mainly going to stay on the turf. That's where they play. But for us, they'll come and use it when they need to. A lot of times it gets pretty cold in October, and if we happen to be playing in the dome, this is a place we can come and use it. I know there was a few years back we used to even ask Madison if we could come and use their facility.
Really?
And it's just tough to do stuff like that. So
hard to work around some of those schedules.
It's nice to have our own spot. Coach, we're going to walk in here for just a second.
Thanks.
And you can see with
there's definitely a home base in the corner as well.
Yeah, the home base. So that's the batting cage. Not the batting cage, the batter box.
Yeah, the box there.
And so the gray lines are our baseball. Black lines are our softball. So that's first base. And then our yellow lines is soccer. And we do have our penalty kick as well out in the middle of the field for PKs for soccer.
So you can bring in even soccer nets and stuff in here.
Yeah, it is. In fact, our soccer net's right there.
There it is.
And so they just lowered this. This wasn't actually down a minute ago. And so this segment is actually 2 segments now. And
so this is like an entirely different building.
Yes. And this is a permanent net that goes between the track and the field. And as you can see, they can do their own thing over here on the side and not be bothered by infield whatsoever.
So you could even have, you could even break up, between the baseball team and the softball team in the spring using the same,
at the exact same time.
Like you're fielding balls.
Our entire spring, every spring team could be practicing at the same time.
That's incredible. So aside from even your high school athletic programs using this facility, will the local community youth sports programs, different programs in the community be able to use this?
Yes, for our community. I know it's not designed for commercial use, so this is going to be for our youth in our community. They can reserve pickleball courts. We've got a system set up where people can reserve online. They can reserve for an hour at a time to bring in a group of 4, reserve a court and play for an hour, 2 or 3. 6:30 to 9:30 at night. It's going to be open for that reservation. Once they sign up online, it's theirs. And there'll be somebody that'll meet them at the beginning, and they walk in and they'll say, "Okay, you're on court 2 or court 5 or court 6 of the pickleball court," and they'll come in and use it. If somebody wanted to use this would be a separate rental, but mainly that's going to be for our teams, not for any business that's trying to do an event. This is for people who want to use it and benefit our youth. That's what. Yeah.
So this isn't for this isn't a convention space. This is definitely
a convention space. This is right. This is for our community and athletics. Yep.
What part of this building are you most excited for?
Gosh, I think probably all of it. I love the feel of the turf. I really do. I do love that our pole vault and high jump have their own spots, own place, with new pits that they can use. I think that's great for those athletes. That is really a specialized thing. But I do love the turf space and the different things we can do with it. And it's just open and you can, it's 90 degrees outside and, it's really pretty comfortable in here. And we've had hundreds of people in here today. And so we do have 7 fans that are constantly going.
Those are big fans.
They're the big fans. Yep. And so it just circulates it, and the insulation in here is top notch. And so that'll help create opportunities in the summertime, and then in the wintertime we do have heating, so it'll be heated. We did put the black along those permanent nettings, as you can see, and those are anchored to the ground. And those are there so that when you're throwing or hitting, you can see the baseball better. And so that's kind of the idea with that. It did make it a little bit darker, but we really feel like that's, for a practicality standpoint, if we left it and you can only see the white, you couldn't pick that baseball up.
It'll be easier to see that ball. That makes sense.
So in our building of this structure, what we wanted, what we needed, we brought in all of our coaches to get feedback. And so that was a huge part too, and like getting their feedback, like, hey, yeah, we'd like to have this. This would help us here, and to make this all come together. So that helped us as a team, like figure out how this is gonna come together. And like there's little dynamics that you wouldn't think of unless you're in that sport to go, hey, this is a specific thing that we need. So that really helped in the coming together of this facility.
So this is also just tailored strictly to the student athletes and their needs.
Yep, and the teams.
Yep. Well, this is now completed. This is a huge thing for you and your athletics program. What's the next big thing for Rigby athletics?
As far as like facilities?
As far as facilities, as far as what you're getting ready for?
Well, I just really enjoy the seasons, so I'm getting geared up for, get a volleyball tournament this weekend and football this weekend. But just now that we've got these things, like just seeing our teams improve. And our coaches are going to have to do a really good job in practice to simulate what's going on in the games. And hopefully we see that, for success in every sport. That's kind of the idea. And the next thing for us is, we're looking to work on the north end of our stadium so that we have the concessions with the weight room, with locker rooms, where people don't have to come into the school, like for football games, soccer games, to do the locker room. They can actually be up there by themselves. So that's our next thing with the concession stand. And so we're looking forward to getting that project going too.
That'll be an exciting project to look forward to.
Yeah.
Ty Shippen, thank you so much for meeting with me. This has been great.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. That was an interview with Ty Shippen. He's the athletic director at Rigby High School. They just opened their new Fieldhouse. He gave me a personal tour of the building. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Weekdays on BYU-Idaho Radio. Savannah McCauley had this hour's music, and I had the interview. Join us Monday for another episode at noon and 6 p.m. I'm Harrison Kelly. Be informed, be inspired. BYU-Idaho Radio.